Here's the part of history no one tells you. Humans weren't always the apex predator. For most of our past, we were terrified prey. Imagine living in a world where lions the size of horses stalked the forest, wolves with bone-crushing jaws circled your fire, and crocodiles longer than buses lurked beneath the rivers you needed to drink from. We think of ourselves as kings of the planet, but back then, we were just meat. The shocking truth? These monsters didn't just try to kill us. They forced us to evolve. Our history isn't just kings, empires, and inventions. The real story of humanity begins with survival in a world dominated by predators that could destroy us in seconds. Every step outside was a gamble. Every fire we lit was a rebellion against the night. Today, we'll uncover the giants of the ancient world and the brutal story of humans versus predators. This isn't a tale of dominance. It's a tale of desperation, fear, and the slow climb from hunted to hunter. The challenge is simple. How do you survive when everything is bigger, faster, and deadlier than you? Early humans had no steel, no fortresses, no guns. We had fire, sometimes. We had stone tools, but most of all, we had fear. And yet, against lions, bears, crocodiles, and saber-tooths, we somehow survived. The question isn't just how. We need to ask, what did it cost us? Because the monsters of the ancient world didn't just shape our bodies. They shaped our minds, our stories, even our gods. The cave lions, rulers of the firelight. Cave lions weren't zoo cats. Panthera leospalea was one of the largest big cats in history, nearly 25% bigger than today's African lions, weighing 700 to 800 pounds. And unlike the lions we know, they ranged across Europe, Siberia, and the Middle East, right where early humans were struggling to survive. We know about them not just from fossils, but from human art. Deep in Chauvet Cave in France, over 30,000 years ago, humans painted lions onto walls by torchlight. These weren't trophies. They were warnings, carved into stone so children would never forget the danger. Imagine it. A group of hunters returning with meat, only to find a pride of cave lions stalking them. At night, the fire barely pushes back the darkness. Low growls echo. Glowing eyes appear in the tree line. Humans knew one mistake meant death. Lions taught humans fear, but they also taught us unity. The only defense was sticking together. Fire in the center, spears outwards, children huddled behind. Some of our earliest instincts, our need for light at night, our fear of glowing eyes, come straight from these nights of terror. And yet, over time, we turned the tables. We didn't just paint lions, we hunted them. And slowly, lions vanished from Europe, leaving only their ghosts in caves. Dire wolves, death in the snow. The dire wolf wasn't a fantasy. It was real, Canis Dearest, heavier than today's gray wolves with jaws that could splinter bone. But their true power wasn't size, it was numbers. Packs of 20 or more, perfectly coordinated, relentless. Imagine trudging through a snowstorm, dragging meat from a hunt. Suddenly the howls start. Shadows flicker on the edges of vision. You can't run, they'll outrun you. You can't climb. Wolves can wait for days. The only choice? Stand and fight. Sites like the La Brea tar pits in Los Angeles are filled with dire wolf bones. Over 4,000 specimens have been found, proving they dominated North and South America for thousands of years. Humans didn't just fear them, they learned from them. Because dire wolves forced us into something new: cooperation. One human with a spear dies. 10 humans circling back to back with fire and sharp stones. That was survival. Some scientists argue wolves actually shaped our social evolution, teaching us teamwork before civilization ever existed. In a way, dire wolves may have been the reason humans became so bonded to each other. And the irony? The wolves that once hunted us became our allies. Over thousands of years, we tamed their descendants, the gray wolves, into dogs. Our greatest predator became our best friend. The short-faced bear, Earth's apex monster. If there was ever a monster that could have kept humans from surviving in North America, it was the short-faced bear, Arctodus simus. Standing 11 feet tall when upright, weighing over 1,500 pounds, this was one of the largest land predators in history. And it was fast, able to sprint faster than a horse. Fossil sites show they were widespread across North America during the Ice Age. Unlike modern bears, which often forage, this bear was a pure predator. It dominated landscapes, stealing kills from wolves, lions, and yes, humans. Imagine taking down a mammoth after days of hunting. You're exhausted, bloody, victorious, and then silence. Heavy footsteps. Out of the mist, a giant bear appears, towering over the carcass. It roars, and the sound alone sends your tribe fleeing. Weeks of hunger, lost in seconds. Stories of giant spirit bears live on in Native American myth. These weren't fairy tales. They were warnings carried through generations. The memory of facing monsters so large that resistance meant death was carved into our culture. And yet, humans adapted. We learned to strip carcasses fast, guard fires through the night, and eventually hunt in groups large enough to even challenge the monster itself. The saber-tooth, death in the tall grass. Few creatures capture imagination like the saber-toothed cat, Smilodon. With fangs over 7 inches long, it was designed to puncture throats and crush windpipes. Unlike modern cats, it wasn't built for chasing prey. It was built for ambush. Picture moving through tall grass, spear ready. Silence. Then a blur of muscle. A 600-pound cat slams into you, driving fangs toward your neck. Against that, one human stood no chance. But humans didn't fight alone. Fossil sites like the La Brea tar pits show saber-tooth bones mixed with human tools. Evidence suggests humans set traps, pits lined with sharpened stakes, snares, ambushes. We turned cunning into our weapon. Over time, saber-tooths vanished. Climate change played a role, but human hunters finishing off their prey sealed their fate. And with their extinction, one of the greatest assassins the world has ever known was gone forever. Crocodiles, rivers of death. For early humans, water was life, but it was also death. Lurking beneath the surface were giants like Crocodilus thorbjarnarsoni in Africa and Deinosuchus in the Americas, stretching over 30 feet long. Imagine kneeling at a river to drink. Suddenly, the water explodes. A bus-sized reptile drags a screaming hunter under, vanishing in seconds. The rest of the tribe watches in silence, too afraid to approach. Cultural myths across the world tell of serpent gods and river demons. In Africa, stories of Mokele-mbembe describe giant water beasts. In India, Nagas, half-serpent beings, were worshipped. These weren't random myths. They were born from real encounters with giant reptiles. For thousands of years, humans had to weigh the choice, thirst or risk. And yet, we return to the rivers again and again, because without water, there was no survival. Titan snakes, silent giants. Millions of years ago, Titanoboa ruled South America, reaching 40 feet in length. Humans never met it, but its smaller descendants, like giant pythons and anacondas, still posed threats. Even today, anacondas in the Amazon can reach over 20 feet, capable of killing humans. That's why nearly every culture has serpent myths. The Aztecs had Quetzalcoatl, the Hindus had Ananta, the Norse had Jörmungandr, the world's serpent. Snakes slithering silently, striking without warning, swallowing whole. It's the perfect nightmare. And nightmares leave scars. Terror birds, feathers of fear. In South America, for millions of years, terror birds ruled. Forus racos, standing 10 feet tall, sprinted faster than a horse with a hooked beak strong enough to split skulls. For humans crossing into South America, these weren't birds. They were monsters. No roar, no growl, just pounding footsteps, then death from a curved beak. Alone you had no chance. But in groups, with fire and spears, humans began to push them back. Over time, terror birds disappeared, their memory living only in myths of feathered demons. The ocean's monsters. On land, danger was constant, but in the ocean, it was worse. Ancient humans sailing coasts faced giant sharks, killer whales, and crocodiles in the sea. Even though Megalodon vanished before humans arrived, stories of sea monsters spread across cultures. Krakens, leviathans, serpent gods. For a human in a hollowed log, the sea wasn't freedom. It was terror. And yet we kept going. We crossed oceans carrying the fear and the courage to new worlds. Here's the turning point. Humans weren't stronger, faster, or tougher. But we had fire. We had tools. Most importantly, we had each other. Lions feared fire. Wolves hesitated before spears. Bears backed down when faced with united hunters. Slowly, we stopped being prey. Over thousands of years, climate change weakened the giants, and humans finished the job. We hunted them, stole their prey, and reshaped the world. The hunted became the hunter. And once that happened, nothing could stop us. The story of humans versus predators is the real origin story of humanity. We didn't rise because we were destined to rule. We rose because we learned to survive in a world designed to kill us. Our fears, our myths, even our gods are echoes of those monsters. Every time you see a lion in a zoo or a snake behind glass, remember, our ancestors faced them in the open with nothing but fire and stone. We're not here because we were the strongest. We're here because we were the most determined not to be eaten. Subscribe now so you don't miss the next hidden story of our past.